soft introduction, relaxation induction. You've had a long day, haven't you? So ... Let your shoulders settle. Let your eyes grow just a little heavier. There's nothing to do now. No rushing. No thinking. Just a soft drift of quiet. Feel the space around you. ... Gentle and still. Maybe there's a warm blanket wrapped around you. ... Or the soft hush of night outside your window. Or the gentle ticking of time. ... Slowing. Let each breath carry you a little deeper. ... In and out. Like waves against a midnight shore. Or like wind through tall grass. By a riverbank. You're safe here. You're warm. You're ready to dream. Because now, our story begins. A gentle story of quills and whispers, of quiet footsteps and lullaby strings. Our story today sets sail at twilight, under a sky brushed with soft violet and fading gold. Begins storytelling. Gentle, descriptive tone. Somewhere far away, in a land wrapped in the folds of time, a castle sleeps beside the bend of an old, winding river. Its towers rise like stone fingers into the dusky sky, and its windows glow faintly with the last flickers of hearthlight. The air is cool, but kind, and it carries a soft scent of lavender and moss. And just below the castle's western wall, there sits a man, cross-legged on a smooth patch of worn stone. He is wrapped in a long traveling cloak, dyed the deep green of forest shadows, and stitched with tiny, nearly invisible pockets. His name is Havayan, a minstrel, a traveler of roads and rhymes, a singer of old ballads and secret truths. But Havayan is more than just a player of songs. He is a bearer of hidden things, a messenger cloaked in melody. And tonight, as the world falls quiet, he plays. His harp is small, a lap harp, light as a feather. The strings shimmer in the fading light, and each note that floats into the evening air is like a sigh, ... like the breath of the earth itself. Pling goes the string, soft and silver, Pling, ... And again, like ripples in still water, a fox pauses beneath a hedge to listen. A candle flickers behind a tower window, and the moon, round and full, peeks slowly above the trees. Havayan hums softly between his notes, and the tune he plays tonight is not for the crowd. No coin waits for him in an upturned hat. No applause will rise when he's done. This song is a signal. For long ago, in the tangle of kingdoms and whispers, some bards were not only entertainers, they were trusted with secrets, with messages too delicate for ink alone. So they learned to hide their maps, not on parchment, but in plumage. Yes, the hollow quills of geese, each feather filled with ink, then sealed with wax, and stitched into the hem of a cloak. To the unknowing eye, they were mere decorations, bits of downy plume to catch the wind. But to those who understood, they were trails, they were roads, they were knowledge in disguise. And tonight, Havayan waits for the changing of the guard. For in a few minutes' time, a sleepy sentry will pause at the gate, and when he hears the final refrain, he will lower a key into the vines and walk on as if nothing passed between them. The harp plays on, playing, so soft, so slow, each note spaced like footfalls on soft earth. Havayan closes his eyes. He can almost feel the weight of the road behind him. The cobblestones of towns with names whispered, not spoken. The muddy paths through forests, still humming with old spirits. And ahead, the next village, where someone is waiting for the map, hidden in the feathers. Soothing, sensory interlude. The night is a hush of colors, dark blue skies dappled with stars, the glow of lanterns like floating fireflies along the castle wall. You can hear the wind in the trees, not loud, no, just enough to make the leaves whisper. And there's the rustle of Evan's cloak as he shifts slightly, pulling from it a feather-long, white and glinting faintly. He turns it gently in his fingers. A soft smile plays on his lips. because within this feather lies a path from this place to another, twisting through valleys, beneath forgotten ruins, and across a stone bridge carved with stars. With his other hand, he reaches into the pouch at his side and pulls out a tiny vial, amber, warm in the moonlight. The ink, made from oak galls, crushed and brewed with wine, thickened with soot. The recipe passed down, bard to bard, never written, only whispered. He dips the feather, just slightly, into the vial, and in one smooth motion, he writes a single curling mark onto a patch of parchment so thin it rustles like leaves. He hums again, just a low tune, something like a lullaby, something only the stars. Remember, the page is folded, tucked gently into the lining of his sleeve, and then the harp begins. Again, wind down transition. By now, the air is cooler. A hush has fallen across the castle. The watchman has passed. You can imagine yourself there, just behind the head, watching the minstrel's hands move like water, watching the flicker of a lantern behind him, and feeling the wind press gently at your cheeks. The stars have brightened. The river murmurs softly in the distance. And far off, a barn owl calls. You're safe here. With the story, with the music, let yourself drift just a little deeper. With each passing note, settle the listener further. Reinduction of calm. Let your body grow heavier now. Your thoughts, even quieter. Still here. Still safe. The world of the minstrel is waiting, soft and unhurried, where nothing is rushed, and everything is told in hushed tones and warm shadows. Sink into it. Let it carry you. Resume storytelling. Avian finishes the song slowly, letting the final note fade into the hush of night, like a breath taken long ago and finally released. He places the harp gently beside him, its polished wood catching a silver glint from the moon above. Then he rises, the cloak brushing against the ground like a sigh. The vines at the gate sway gently. No sound betrays them, just the faintest shimmer of moonlight against iron. And nestled between the ivy leaves, a glint. A kid, exactly where it was promised to be. Avayan doesn't hurry. Minstrels never hurry. Instead, he takes a moment to let his fingers trail over the stone of the wall. Each groove, carved by rain, wind, and centuries of quiet watching. The wall, like him, has seen much and said little. He takes the key, cool, to the touch, old, worn, the kind that still turns slowly in a lock that groans softly, like it's just woken from a nap. He walks, not through the main gate, where guards might notice, but along a hidden path behind the herb garden, where mint and rosemary grow wild beneath moonlight. Every step is a whisper, boots softened by years of travel. He knows where the moss grows thick, where the gravel won't crunch, where the owls won't cry out. And then a door, small, wooden, hidden beneath a rose arch that blooms only at night. Star roses, the kind that glow faintly under starlight. Another old truth of the medieval world. Some plants were believed to bloom best when no one was watching. He turns the key slowly. The door creaks, but only a little. Inside, a circular chamber, stone walls wrapped in ivy from within. Lanterns flicker, set in sconces, shaped like coiled dragons. The floor is warm beneath his feet, as if the earth below still remembers the sun. There's a woman waiting there. She sits in a deep chair, knitting something soft and gray. Her name is Tessera. Not a noble, not a lady, but the quiet steward of the castle's lost things and messages. Evening, she says, voice like soft bread and honey. Right on time. Avayan bows, slightly, and from within his cloak, he withdraws the feather, not yet emptied of its ink, but marked subtly at the base. Tessera looks at it, her eyes catching the faint shimmer. South River, past the twin stones, she murmurs, recognizing the marking instantly. North Gate, 2 days' ride. Avayan adds, his voice barely more than air. Together, they nod. The route is clear. The message passed, not by word, but by feather and music. Sensory pause. Deepen. Listener immersion. Take a moment now to feel the air in that stone chamber. Cool, still, yet filled with warmth from the nearby hearth. You might imagine the scent of burning peat, the soft clink of knitting needles, the whisper of wool as it takes shape between Tessara's fingers. The walls seem to hum faintly, not with magic, but with the weight of centuries. And above, just beyond the curved ceiling, the stars turn quietly, ancient and unchanged. Continue the story. Intimate detail, soft tension. Tessara tucks the feather carefully into a drawer carved with vines. "Are you staying the night?" she asks, already pouring something from a kettle into a wooden mug. Evian smiles. He rarely stays, but tonight he feels the weight in his shoulders, the pull of warmth and stillness. "Yes," he whispers. She hands him the mug. Warm cider, spiced with cloves and a hint of lavender. He drinks slowly, each sip melting down his throat like a lullaby. There's a bed waiting. A simple cot with a thick wool blanket and a pillow filled with dried lavender and ducked down. Before he sleeps, he sits again, just for a moment, and plucks the harp once more. Not a message this time. Not a signal. Just a melody he remembers from his childhood. Something his mother used to hum when the fire burned low. Pling, pling. Notes fall like candlelight on old stone. Soft and gold and utterly peaceful. Tessara closes her eyes and smiles. The knitting falls to her lap, and the fire cracks softly behind them. Wind down transition. Let yourself imagine that room now. Stone walls wrapped in ivy. Flickering hearthlight dancing on the floor. The smell of warm cider and lavender. Let the soft rhythm of that harp fill your breath. Inhale. There's nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Only the stillness of this moment. And outside, the moon rises higher. The stars bloom brighter. And the secret map, held in the feather's heart, is already traveling, hand to hand, through the hush of the kingdom. Close your eyes again if they've flooded open. Feel how easy it is to rest here, to let go of the day. The warmth of the cider still lingers. The soft scent of lavender in the pillow lulls the air. The harp's notes still echo, far and low, like footsteps on clouds. You're not in a rush. You're floating, just listening, as the next part of the story whispers itself into the world. The first light of dawn paints the stone walls. Gold, the fire has burned to embers. Outside, dew clings to ivy and cobblestone. Birdsong begins, in hesitant, gentle chirps, as if the world is testing its voice. After a night of dreaming, Evian wakes slowly, his body wrapped in stillness, his mind caught between slumber and song. He sits up, the wool blanket sliding down like soft mist, and he breathes in deeply. That blend of ancient stone, morning air, and the faint sweetness of last night's cloves. Tessara is already gone. A fresh mug of water rests beside his cot, and beside it, a parchment sealed with red wax, pressed with the mark of the star rose. His next path, he breaks the seal without sound. The letter is brief, just a name, a village, and the symbol of a bridge carved with stars. It is time to move again. Evian steps out into the morning. His harp is slung over his back. The cloak once again filled with carefully sewn feather. Each one carries a different thread of ink, some bold, some faint, each drop holding more than it seems. The road ahead curves like a ribbon across the hills. He walks softly, feet brushing against the dew-laced grass. The sun is gentle, just a glow behind the clouds, not yet strong enough to chase away the mist. He hums to himself. Not a song with words, just a tune that seems to rise up from the soil, as though the earth itself remembers the melody. He passes through a field of tall grass, each blade shimmering with beads of moisture. Dragonflies dart past, their wings catching flashes of green and blue. There are no carts this morning, No footsteps but his own, just the sound of distant sheep, the breeze kissing the trees, and a sense of something waiting patiently. Further ahead, along the path, Avayan pauses. Beneath a weathered oak, tied to its trunk, is a small wooden box, carved with swirling patterns, half covered in moss. He smiles softly. It is a bard's box, part of an ancient, quiet tradition. In the old days, traveling minstrels left tokens in these boxes. Feathers, verses, bits of wax-sealed scrolls, messages for others who would come after. It was not just poetry, it was a network. He opens it gently. Inside, a single violet feather, dipped in blue ink at the tip. He nods. The feather tells him, another has passed this way. Safe, swift, and true. He leaves behind his own token, a silver string from his harp, twisted into a spiral, a symbol of safe passage, of songs completed. And then he moves on, light as breath. The road narrows, becomes a trail, then a footpath winding through an orchard. The trees here are old pear and apple, bent slightly with age, their trunks thick with lichen, and their leaves stirring in a rhythm older than words. Blossoms fall around Avon's boots, petals drifting like snowflakes. He doesn't disturb them. He walks as though the earth beneath him were glass, his every step a lullaby. Somewhere nearby, a stream murmurs softly. He follows the sound and comes to a stone bridge. It arches gracefully across the water, carved centuries ago. And there, on its side, etched into the stone, is the pattern of stars. He's arrived. On the far side of the bridge, a small cottage rests beneath the trees. The roof is thatched, the windows round and filled with warm yellow light. An old man sits on a bench out front, carving wood with a small, curved blade. When he sees Avian, he nods just once. No words pass between them yet, but the nod is enough. Avayan sits beside him. They watch the stream, bird song, the rustle of wind in tall grasses. Eventually Avian withdraws a feather, one he did not show before. Blue-gray, with gold specks. He places it gently on the bench. The man takes it, presses it to his chest, and tucks it beneath his coat. Again, nothing said, but everything understood. The sun lowers slowly behind the hills. The stream reflects peach and pink, and frogs begin to chirp along its banks. Inside the cottage, a fire is lit. Bread warms on the hearth. A kettle sings quietly on the hook. Avayan is welcomed in. A meal is shared. Simple, soft, a stew of roots and herbs. No rush, no danger. Only trust passed hand to hand. Like stories, like feathers, like dreams. He'll sleep here tonight, beneath a quilt made of stitched velvet and wool, beside a hearth that glows like memory. And the message, it's already moving, carried in silence, wrapped in song. Gentle re-entry, deep, comforting reassurance. Welcome back. Still here, still resting, still safe in the story's arms. Let your limbs feel soft and still, like moss beneath a pine tree or a patch of sun-warmed stone. The fire is glowing in the hearth. The stars are just beginning to appear, and the minstrel's journey continues. As quiet and steady as your breath, story resumes. A night in the cottage. Inside the cottage, the flames from the hearth dance gently on the low-beamed ceiling. Avayan sits in a chair worn smooth by time, a bowl of warm stew in his lap, a carved wooden spoon in hand. The old man, whose name is Rudrick, hums softly as he stirs a pot of beeswax over the fire. He's no minstrel, but like many in the hidden web of watchers and whisperers, he knows how to preserve what matters, sealing messages into wax capsules, tying coated ribbons onto carrier pigeons, or pressing inkless impressions into fabric to be read only by moonlight. Tonight, his task is simple: to protect what Avayan delivered until the next quiet hand arrives. Evian finishes his stew and sips warm goat's milk from a clay cup. Its taste is smooth and sweet, tinged with a hint of mint rudrick added from the garden. They speak only when needed. Their silence is the language of trust. The chair creaks gently beneath Avayan. As he leans back, his eyelids already beginning to lower, his thoughts drifting toward the sound of crickets chirping just outside the window. Sleep imagery. Drift into the night. The quilt in the guest room smells of dried thyme and old pages. Avayan lies beneath it, his harp resting nearby on a stool, its strings humming faintly with the warmth of the firelight. Outside, wind moves through the tall reeds by the stream. A whisper-soft chorus. An owl calls once, then settles again into quiet watchfulness. You can imagine yourself in that same room, tucked into soft linens, a pillow cradling your head like the curve of a cloud. The warmth of the fire reaches just far enough, touching your toes, sliding up to your knees, curling gently across your chest like the wing of a feathered dream. Sleep comes not all at once, but like dusk sliding slowly down the hills. And as Avayan sleeps, the wind carries word of his passing. Another piece of the map has been received. Another route has been cleared. The web of quiet guardians stretches wide. New day a secret carried forward. The next morning brings mist, a soft veil laid gently across the hills. Rudrick sees Avayan off at the edge of the orchard, handing him a satchel of bread wrapped in linen and a new feather gold-tipped and hollow. This one, too, holds ink, but it also holds trust. It will get you past the salt gate, Rudrick says softly. Avayan nods, and with that, he vanishes into the morning mist. Medieval detail. The salt gate. Not all castle gates were made for defense. Some, like the salt gate, were used for trade, for the quiet passage of merchants and trusted travelers. And in some kingdoms, feathers marked with salt dye were recognized by gatekeepers as signs of safe conduct. Not official, not royal, but older than the throne. Avayan walks now beside a winding inlet. Salt air fills his lungs. The road crunches underfoot with old shells and sea-swept gravel. Seagulls call overhead. Ships creak in the harbor beyond the hill, and tucked into his hand, folded tightly in waxed cloth, is a verse just 4 lines long, and meaningless to most, but to one who knows the code. Each syllable unlocks a route through enemy lands. Each rhyme is a river. Each pause, a fork in the road. Seaside imagery. Gentle sounds and sights. The cliffs ahead are soft in the mist. Not jagged, but weathered like old driftwood, shaped by sea and time. Avayan finds a bench beneath a lopsided pine and sits for a while, watching waves brush the shore like sleepy fingers. He takes out his harp again, plays a tune that sounds like wind on water, and stones tumbling gently under the surf. Fishermen nearby stop what they're doing, not to listen, but because the music tells them someone is passing, someone trusted. No need to ask, no need to speak, just a song and silence. Wind down for listener. Settle gently. Imagine that shoreline now, the salt-kissed air, the soft warmth of the morning sun as it begins to melt the mist. The waves sighing again and again. A lullaby as old as time. Avayan walks again, but slower now. The path ahead is known, not by sight, but by rhythm. Each step falls into place. Each breath a map. The feather tucked in his cloak rustles softly, not from the wind, but from the quiet pulse of purpose. And you are floating with him, drifting just behind. Wrapped in silence, wrapped in sleep. The fire, the harp, the stars, the sea, they are all part of the same dream. Yours, resettling the listener, slowing the breath. Take a slow, quiet breath. Let it fill you like the morning mist fills the hills. Then, let it go, like a feather floating down, softly to the earth. You're doing nothing now, just listening, just drifting. The world of stone walls and star maps, of feathers and firelight, still cradles you. We return now to the minstrel, walking along the sea-blown edge of the kingdom. where messages hide in music and roads, appear only for those who move slowly enough to see them. Resume story. A place between the salt gate stands ahead, not made of gold or iron, but driftwood bound in rope, with sea glass hanging from its frame like wind chimes that never sing. 2 guards sit beneath an awning, their hoods pulled low to shield against the breeze. One of them eyes Avian. As he approaches, he does not speak, but Avian, without a word, reaches into his cloak and draws out the gold-tipped feather Rudrick gave him. It glints in the daylight. The faintest scent of beeswax and mint lingers around it. The guard leans forward, nods once, and gestures to a path off the main road. A path that curls behind the cliffs and into a grove of whispering pines. Avian bows. In return, tucks the feather away and steps into the green, quiet forest interlude. Sensory, soothing. The grove is cool and shadowed. Light slants down through pine needles, painting patterns across the mossy floor. The path winds like a ribbon, sometimes wide, sometimes no more than a line between tree roots. Here, even the birds are quiet. Their songs are not for courtship or warning, but soft, slow notes like lullabies, learned from the wind. Avian walks slowly, each step cushioned by pine needles. The air smells of resin and damp bark. A squirrel watches from a branch, tail twitching, then settles back into stillness. At the grove's heart, he finds an old stone well. No bucket, no rope, just water, still and deep, reflecting the forest canopy like a mirror. He kneels beside it, washes his hands, lets the coolness run over his fingers, then his wrists. He dips his face, and when he rises, he feels newer, like the day itself has turned a page. Medieval detail, wells of silence. In some corners of the old world, there were wells said to be wells of silence, places where monks and messengers once paused not to drink, but to remember. They believed the water could still thought, could quiet the mind the way winter quiets a garden. Avian does not speak at the well, nor does he play. He simply breathes, slow and even, while the forest listens. Dreamlike movement. Travel becomes timeless. When he rises, the path seems different. Not longer, not shorter, just softer, as if the forest, now familiar, bends its limbs to ease his passage. He follows a trail of white stones, set irregularly among the moss, each one etched faintly with runes, symbols passed down by those who once walked the invisible roads. And then a clearing, a circle of stones, low, flat, ancient, and in the center, a woman in blue, spinning thread from golden flax with a spindle carved from you. She does not look up, but she speaks. "You've brought me the song." The message continued, unspoken language. Avian nods once. From his belt pouch, he pulls a feather. It is not ink, not sealed. Instead, it is burned at the tip a sign. The woman in blue sets her spindle down. She takes the feather, inspects it, and presses her fingers to her temple in thought. Then the sky road is no longer watched, she murmurs. Her voice is like linen against skin. Soft, barely textured, but sure. She hands Avian something wrapped in wool, small, warm from her touch. Inside is a second feather. This one, pale green, its shaft hollow and cool. "You'll give this to the firemaker," she says. "And that is all? No name, no directions?" But Avian nods again. For, in the world of feather maps, names are smoke, and only meaning matters. Night returns. The forest sleeps. As he leaves the grove, night falls again. The trees whisper in the wind. Somewhere, an owl cries, answered by a second in the distance. He finds a small shelter beneath a leaning elm, a fire pit long unused, a flat stone for sitting. He lights a small fire, just enough to warm his hands, to toast a bit of bread from Rudrick's bundle. The stars appear above, puncturing the sky like gentle holes in a velvet curtain. Evian hums. The melody is new, born of the day's steps, the sea wind, the silent well, and the spinning woman in blue. And you are listening from your own place of stillness. The fire's glow is gentle, the cloak's feathers are quiet, and the path ahead waits patiently in the dark. We enter the calm, hypnotic resettling. Close your eyes now, if they haven't already drifted shut. Let your breath find its rhythm again, soft and steady, like a feather slowly falling. Or the way twilight settles over the hills. You're safe here, still resting beside the fire, listening to the music of moss and wind. The minstrel's journey continues, a thread unwinding in the quiet dark, leading you gently into stillness. Story resumes. Morning in the elm hollow. The fire is burned down to pale ash and ember. Above, the early light glimmers through the high boughs, painting golden stripes across the forest floor. A van stretches, his cloak dusted with pine needles and dreams. The harp beside him has gathered dew, and he wipes it gently with the edge of his sleeve. Birdsong begins again, slow, hesitant, then bolder as the sky lightens. Today, the road bends east. The pale green feather rests safely inside a reed case, tucked close to his chest. Its message is fragile, delicate, meant for the firemaker, and the path ahead will test his memory. For this time, there are only what he carries in his mind. Walk in the forgotten road. Peaceful, dreamlike movement. The forest thins, giving way to old fields once tilled by vanished hands. Stone walls crumble into thickets. Trees grow where grain once waved in the breeze. This is the forgotten road, used only by those who remember it exists. The path is faint, a crease in the grass, a rhythm beneath his steps. Avian hums softly, his tune keeping pace with the beat of the land. He passes a crumbled shrine, just 2 standing stones and a circle of yarrow. He lays a pebble on the altar, as all wanderers do, not for luck, but for listening, because it said, if enough stones are left, the path itself remembers you. Medieval fact. Memory paths. In some corners of the medieval world, pilgrims believed that roads had memory, not just of where they led, but of who had walked them. Shrines were built along these paths, not to deities, but to the road itself. You gave something simple, a flower, a pebble, a bit of bread, and in return, the road would guide your feet even when fog clouded your eyes. And so, Avian walks, not blindly, but led by memory and song. Midday pause, a moment of rest and reflection. At the crest of a hill, he finds a flat rock beneath a beech tree. He sits, removes his boots, lets his feet breathe in the soft grass. From his satchel, he takes a thin wafer of pressed honey, a sweet token left in Rudrick's bundle. It melts on his tongue, filling his mouth with warmth and gold. The wind brushes the tall grass around him, and he closes his eyes, listening to the hum of bees nearby, to the far-off creak of trees swaying in rhythm. There is no rush. Messages, like dreams, arrive on time, but never in haste. Evening approaches, entering the firemaker's territory. By late afternoon, the land changes. The trees return, but these are broader, older, their bark dark with age, their leaves rustling like parchment. Smoke drifts on the wind, not choking, but wood smoke, slow burning. Fragrant Avian follows it, past a stream lined with quartz pebbles, over a narrow log bridge worn smooth by rain. And then he sees it, a small hut, roofed with sod and ash branches, nestled against a hollow in the hillside. From the chimney, a lazy ribbon of smoke rises, curling into the air like a beckoning finger. He has found the firemaker. Meeting the firemaker. Subtle magic. She is waiting outside, kneeling by a row of smoldering pits, each one cradling a glowing coal wrapped in herbs and sand. Her hands move slowly, tending the flames the way one might cradle sleeping birds. Her name is Sura, She does not speak when Avan approaches. She simply looks up, her eyes the color of charred cedar, and holds out her palm. He places the feather there, wrapped, warm, intact. Sara turns it gently, studying its length. It's hollow. Then she leans over one of the coals and holds the feather above it. Nothing happens for a long moment. Then a faint line of pale green smoke rises from the quill's shaft, curling in thin loops into the dusk. She nods. The message is clean, she says, and then adds, more softly. Will you play? Evening song. Sharing the message in music. Avan sits on a low stool beside the firemaker's pits. He draws his harp from the case, his fingers already knowing what to play. It's not a melody anyone else would recognize, but Sura listens with her whole body, as though each note unlocks a door in the air around them. This song is a message, not just in pitch and pause, but in rhythm and rest. It tells of a cross unopened, a hill now watched, a name whispered in safe hands. The flames pulse with the music, not dancing wildly, but nodding, steady. When he finishes, Sura breathes deep. I'll pass it forward, she says. I know where it must go. Avea nods. The message is no longer his to carry, and the fire has spoken. Slow down. Preparing to rest again, night deepens. Sura gives him a corner of the hut to sleep in, lined with wool blankets and smelling faintly of rosemary and ash. Avan lies back, watching the red glow of coals beyond the curtain. His harp rests beside him, his cloak folded neatly, each feather now still. Outside, the wind hums through the trees. A fox barks in the distance, then falls quiet. The world is dark, but not empty. It is full of hidden trails and slow embers and songs that carry secrets from heart to hand to feather to fire. And you are safe here too, listening beside the warmth, eyes closed, breaths. The map unfolds quietly in your dreams. Reinduction. Pull the listener deeper into sleep. Let your breath slow, even more than before. You're not thinking now, just listening. Like moss listens to falling rain. Let your body rest, heavy and light at once, floating gently. As the firemaker's coals crackle far in the background, the road continues, but you don't have to walk it. You only have to hear it, in the hush of the harp, and the slow rise and fall of Avan's footsteps. Story resumes. Departure from the firemaker. Morning comes with a smell of smoke and thyme. Evian stirs from the blanket pile, stretching with the ease of someone used to rising before the sun finishes waking. Sura stands at the hearth, crushing dried petals between her palms and tossing them into the embers. A faint shimmer of violet smoke curls upward, a scent like sweet bark in winter air. I've already passed the fire, she murmurs. Her eyes never leave the flame. Avan nods. There is no need to ask how. Messages in this world travel not only by foot and feather, but through smoke, song, and those who tend the quiet spaces between. She hands him a pouch light and soft. Inside, 3 feathers. 1 red, 1 ash white, 1 a deep twilight blue. They'll know what these mean when you reach the mere gate, Sura whispers. And so, with harp slung gently over his back, and cloak tied snug, Avion steps once more into the hush of the woods. Imagery of the changing land. Evocative, tranquil. The land beyond the firemaker's grove is different. No longer coastal, nor forested, but a soft blend of both. Thickets, giving way to gentle hills, carpeted with heather and sage. Avan walks beside old stone terraces, long since abandoned, where vines now grow wild through the frames of crumbling herb gardens. The bees here are lazy. They float in warm loops, humming the same tune again and again and again. It's the kind of place where even the breeze walks softly, where footsteps seem to echo not forward, but inward, as if the land itself is remembering each past pause to introduce historical detail. Medieval mirror gates. In certain medieval tales now mostly forgotten, there were said to be gates made not of iron or oak, but glass. These mirror gates, scattered across sacred roads, did not open with keys, but with reflection. One did not simply pass through. One had to be seen, truly seen, to be understood and recognized by the path. Avayan is heading toward one now, and he carries feathers not to bribe or persuade, but to reveal something hidden about himself and the path beneath his feet. Story continues. A return to music. As twilight creeps over the hills, he comes upon a stone circle, not as ancient as the forest, but still old enough to carry silence like a crown. He sets his harp gently on a flat stone and begins to tune it by touch alone. The strings hum low and golden. No one is there to listen, and yet the music speaks. The melody carries no clear message this time. Instead, it remembers. Each gate crossed, each feather passed, each smile, nod, bowl of stew, and room shared beneath quiet roofs. And as he plays, 3 moths gather near the harp's crown. One red, one ash-white, one blue-black, like the feather wrapped in his pouch. They do not land, they do not flutter, they simply hover, still and glowing faintly in the dusk. Then, as softly as they came, they rise and vanish into the growing night. The mirror gate, a sacred threshold. By nightfall, the path leads him into a narrow pass where 2 steep hills lean toward each other, like hands about to clasp. Between them, a gate, no wood, no hinges, just a frame of twisted silver branches and a pane of darkened glass within the mirror gate. It reflects Avayan as he approaches, his cloak rumpled from travel, his harp dulled by mist, his eyes heavy with miles. He stops, takes a slow breath, and kneels before the frame. From his pouch, he withdraws the 3 feathers, and one by one, lays them gently on the earth. The mirror responds, not with movement, not with sound, but with light, a faint shimmer, like moonlight on still water. Avayan closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, he sees it not himself, but every person he has carried messages for. Tessera, at the castle, Rudrick, by the orchard stream, Sora tending fire with ash-covered hands, and behind them 1,000 more faces, some old, some young, some unknown, but all of them connected by feathers, by fire, by music, and by trust. Slow return. Let the listener rest with a revelation. The mirror fades. The feathers turn to dust, scattered by a wind too soft to feel. The gate does not swing open. It simply ceases to be, and beyond it, a soft glade filled with starlight, quiet streams, and a path made entirely of woven vines. Avayan steps forward, and the air around him sighs, not in weariness, but in welcome. The message is almost complete now, but the journey is not over. Not yet. Still, for tonight, there is only the hush of leaves, the gentle glow of stars, and a quilt of sounds to sleep beneath. The harp rests. The traveler breathes slowly, and you may let yourself sleep a little deeper now. You are part of this map too. Reinduction. Draw the listener into the quiet again. The night has deepened now, and so has your rest. Every sound is softer, every breath slower. Let go, just a little more. Let your body sink like roots into the earth, warm, weightless, and welcome. The story still walks on, but you don't need to follow with your feet, only with your ears and your heart as it settles deeper into sleep. Story resumes. The hidden glade. Beyond the mirror gate, the path becomes less of a road and more of a feeling. The woven vines beneath Avin's feet are springy and green, still damp with the dew of unseen rains. Tiny flowers open as he passes, not from sunlight, but from song. Every step hums softly, not loud, but a resonance in the bones of the world. A sound only messengers and minstrels ever truly hear. The glade opens like a sigh, There are no buildings here, no towers, no walls, only trees bent gracefully toward one another, forming arches of leaves and silver-veined bark. And in the center of it all, a pool, still, round, mirroring the sky so perfectly that stars shimmer in both directions. Sleep-inducing imagery. Water, stars, and silence of Aeon kneels by the pool's edge. Its surface does not ripple. He takes his harp into his lap. Not to play, not yet, just to hold. The way one holds a memory that is almost too large for words. Above him, stars slide quietly across the sky, not rushing, just moving in their own time. Owls call softly from the boughs. Leaves rustle like lullabies spoken by the wind. Somewhere in the pool's reflection, a candlelight flickers. Though no flame burns on this side of the water, he watches it and waits. Medieval detail. Pools of listening. In some whispered corners of medieval lore, it was said there were listening pools, places so still, so sacred, that truths too fragile for voice could be heard by heart alone. Messengers came to these pools, not to deliver what they carried, but to understand it, because not all messages are about secrets. Some are about clarity, and in this still place, Avion begins to hear not just the words, but the meanings behind them, the understanding message behind the message he sees now. Not with eyes, but with that quiet inner knowing that comes only when all is still. That the map isn't about roads, or gates, or even destinations. It's about connection, about all the quiet, hidden ways people across the land reach toward each other, through song and fire and feather. Even when the world forgets them, especially when the world forgets them. The map is not written on parchment. It is alive, a web of trust, memory, and silence threaded through the hearts of those who care. And he is one of its keepers. Return to the fire. Completing the thread of Aeon, reaches into his pouch once more. The only thing left now is a single string of his harp. Fine. Silver. Slightly worn. He unhooks it slowly and ties it around a low-hanging branch above the pool. A signal that the message has reached its center. That the words have settled where they needed to go. The branch sways gently. Not from breeze, but in thanks. End of the day. Preparing for sleep. The night is deep now. The glade is darker, but not cold. Warmth lingers in the air, like breath after a song. Aeon wraps himself in his cloak beneath a yew tree whose roots cradle the earth like arms. He sets his harp beside him, his boots tucked beneath his head, a habit from years of travel, and slowly, like leaves falling into a river, his thoughts let go. The glade breathes with him. In, out, no faster than the moon's slow rise. You, too, can breathe with the glade, letting your own thoughts drift gently beneath the surface of dreams. No need to hold anything, no need to reach. You've arrived at the center of the message. You are part of the stillness now, and the stillness holds you, resettling the listener, deepening the trance. Sink even deeper now, deeper into the hush, like a warm quilt being tucked just under your chin. Soft, weightless, safe. There's nothing to solve, nothing to do. Just drift as the story cradles you gently in its arms. You are beside the minstrel still, in that moonlit glade, and every breath is slower than the last. Story resumes. A morning without urgency. Dawn doesn't rise all at once here. It filters in slowly. One pale strand of light through the canopy. One bird note. One delicate breath of warmth on the skin. Avion opens his eyes as if waking from a dream within a dream. His body still. His cloak damp with dew. But he does not stir in haste. There is no haste in the glade. He waits. Listens. Lets the sounds return. The stream gurgles quietly. The leaves stir like a lullaby halfway remembered. And somewhere above, the silver string he tied still sways. The message, whatever it truly was, has settled into the earth. It will travel now in ways beyond words. Soothing detail. Morning ritual in nature. Avian rises slowly. He dips his hands into the pool. The water cold and perfect. He cups a small sip to his lips, then splashes a little across his face, the droplets running down his cheeks like cool whispers. Nearby, berries grow along a vine-wrapped stone. He picks a few, tart, with just enough sweetness to stir him awake gently. And as he eats, a small bird lands near his harp, tipping its head as if waiting for a song. But the harp stays quiet this morning. Today, even the music rests. Medieval detail. The code of the silence path. In certain forgotten brotherhoods of the medieval world, messengers who walked the silence path followed an unwritten rule. Once a message reached its heart, the next step was not speaking, but listening. A day, sometimes two, was spent in quiet, wandering, not returning, not delivering, simply being. Because only then could the message become more than a task. It became part of the messenger's soul. Avian walks now, not toward, not away, but within the land. A sacred pause. And in that pause, you too may rest, wandering without urgency. Hypnotic rhythm of steps. The path is soft beneath his boots. Grass gives way to old cobbles, then to moss again. Stone walls appear and vanish, half buried in ivy and age. A tree bears strips of cloth, wishes knotted to its limbs by travelers past. He touches one gently. Its threads fall away in his hand, as if the wish has finally been fulfilled. There's no sound but the world breathing, and Avian breathing with it, and you drifting in step beside him. Each footfall lighter, fainter, slower. A village forgotten by maps, imagery, and quiet detail. He reaches a village near sunset, one not marked on any map, and yet older than many that are. The cottages here lean gently to one side. Their thatched roofs, softened by years of wind. Lanterns glow at every door. Not bright, just warm. People pass by, nodding to Avian without question. No one asks his name. No one needs to. He is known, not as a man, but as a song. One elder places a hand on his shoulder and says, "Only there's stew tonight, and a bed with blue linens by the fire. Your harp can sleep too." Avian smiles. He follows. Evening, peace, hearth, food, and the gentle world. The cottage is low and round, with herbs hanging from the beams, and a cat curled into a basket by the hearth. The stew is made with lentils, root vegetables, and rosemary. It tastes like memory, soft, slow, nourishing. After the bowl is scraped clean, Avian is shown to a corner with a thick mattress of straw, covered in a quilt the color of storm clouds. He lies back. The fire crackles nearby. It sounds softer than music, but just as sweet. And you can feel it too. The warmth, the slowing heart, the deep, ancient peace of a place that knows how to rest. Return to the listener, letting go into sleep. So now, let your body grow still. Let the warmth of that fire wrap around you. Let your fingers relax, your legs soften, your jaw release. You are not holding anything now, not even the story. It's holding you. You're safe in the blue linen bed. The stew still warm in your memory. The harp sleeps nearby, and the glade, and the mirror, and the feathers, and the fire maker all still exist. Not in time, but in stillness, like dreams that never end. Only pause, and here, in this breath, you may rest a little deeper. The map has more paths ahead. But not tonight. Tonight, we are home. Reinduction, deepening peace and drowsiness. Close your eyes. If they're not closed already, let your body soften, like wax near a candle. No need to listen too closely. The story will carry you gently, even if your thoughts begin to fade. Like lanterns at the end of a village road, we return now, not to urgency, but to stillness. The minstrel sleeps, and so do you. But the world continues quietly around you. Story resumes. A dream within the hearth that night, as Avian sleeps beneath the blue linens. His dreams are clear, not vivid, not loud, just gentle scenes, lit by firelight and memory. In his dream, he walks a long corridor lined with feathered cloaks, some long and regal, others short and travel-worn. Each one whispers as he, in languages older than ink, older even than song. He follows the corridor until it opens into a round chamber. At its center, a single feather, floating, bright silver, tipped in firelight. As he reaches for it, he hears a harp string hum, not struck, but awakened. The sound vibrates through him like a thread of warmth, and he knows, without question, that this dream is not only his, others are listening too. Medieval detail. Feather guilds. In lost pages of medieval scrolls, there are quiet mentions of the feather guilds, secret orders, not of nobles or knights, but of messengers and map-makers who used birds and symbols to carry truths, to delegate for royal parchment. They believed that feathers retained memory, that every quill used in a letter, every plume tied to a cloak, held echoes of the places it passed. Havaean, though never formally trained, has become part of that echo, and the dream is their welcome, waking into a soft morning. Comforting details. The dream fades with the crackle of fresh kindling. Avian wakes slowly, the scent of toasted oats and honeyed tea in the air. The quilt has slipped slightly off his shoulders. He pulls it back, the fabric warm from both body and heart. The cottage is still quiet. Outside, soft fog wraps the village like a shawl. Children walk barefoot through the dewy grass, gathering eggs in woven baskets. Someone hums a song with no words. Avian sits for a moment, watching the steam rise from the tea left on a small stool beside him. The map has grown quiet, but not silent. There is one more feather to place, not to deliver, but to leave. Journey to the hill of rest. Gentle walking, sleepy hills. By midday, he is walking again, up a slow, sloping hill beyond the edge of the village, where the land curves like a sleeping shoulder. This is Hearth Hill, a place known only by those who carry, not messages, but memory. Travelers come here, not to begin a journey, nor to end it, but to let it settle, to release what they've held for others, for years, for miles. And there, at the top, a stone arch waits, no gate, no guards, just a curved frame of earth and ivy, and a smooth stone ledge beneath it where one might sit, or sleep, or simply breathe. Placing the feather, a ritual of rest. Avian kneels before the stone. From his satchel, he pulls the final feather. It is not brilliant. It is not bright, just a simple crow's feather, slightly worn, the shaft strong but he ties a thin thread of harp string around it, a quiet nod to all the songs that helped carry the map, and then he places it in a small notch in the stone wall where hundreds of other feathers have been left before it. He presses his hand over it once. No words, only breath, only stillness. The feather rests, and so does the journey. Soothing imagery. Rest after completion. He sits for a while. On the stone ledge, a breeze moves through the tall grass. The sun is soft, not blazing, not weak, just gentle. He feels no weight now, not in his chest, not in his hands, only calm, as if the land itself hums beneath him, a sound with no melody, yet full of meaning. From his place on the hill, he can see the winding roads he came by. He can't name them, but he doesn't need to. They were never about direction, only connection, invitation to the listener. You too may rest, and now you too may let go of the map. You've walked far tonight, through candlelight corridors, beside whispering trees, Past mirror gates and firemakers, you've listened to the feathers speak, and to the silences between them. And now, like Avayan, you may rest on the hill. There is no message to carry now, no gate to pass, no song to play. Only quiet, only breath, only warmth. Let your body become part of the land. Let your thoughts soften into sky. Let sleep, when it comes, be deep and kind. The map will remember you, even as you dream. Reinduction. Invite the listener deeper into rest. Breathe in, as if the air is made of feathers, and exhale, like leaves, letting go in autumn. No more roads to follow, no more messages to deliver. Only stillness now, only peace. Let go, deeper still. As the story settles into its final chords, story resumes. Stillness on the hill. Avayan sits a while longer on Hearth Hill, watching the afternoon light shift over the fields below. From up here, everything looks softer. The rooftops, the rivers, even the sky. He takes his harp into his lap, not to play, but to feel. The strings are cool beneath his fingers. They hum faintly, like something alive and dreaming. A breeze moves across the hilltop, stirring the grass. Somewhere nearby, a skylark sings, and he smiles, because the melody it carries sounds almost like one of his own, but lighter, wilder, freer. Meditation on sound and silence. Sleepy rhythm. There are two kinds of music in this world. One you make and one you listen for. Avayan knows now. He has spent many years shaping the first, but tonight, as the sun begins to slip behind the far woods, he listens for the second. He hears it in the hush between heartbeats, in the crackle of grasses drying in the sun, in the memory of footfalls on moss. A music so quiet, you might miss it, unless you've carried silence long enough to understand its tune. Twilight gathering. Other travelers. He is not alone on the hill for long. As the sky turns violet, others arrive. Some with packs, some with flutes, or soft drums, one leading a donkey, with baskets of wood. They do not speak, only nod, only smile. A circle forms slowly, not by design, but by gravity, like sleep drawing around the edges of thought. They build no fire, they need none. The dusk is warm, and the company is flame enough. A quiet song begins, not sung, but hummed, low and shared between them, like breath passed from soul to soul. Medieval detail. Circles of rest. In ancient oral histories from forgotten hills, there were circles of rest, gatherings of those who had journeyed long not to trade stories, but to set them down. It was said that even the land listened during these circles, that if a feather was placed in the grass, the earth would remember the journey for you, so you didn't have to anymore. Tonight, on Hearth Hill, that circle breathes again, and you, though you may not feel your feet move, are sitting with them too, wrapped in quiet, held by song. And finally, at peace. Final descent into sleep. Personal to the listener now. Let your eyes grow heavier. Let your body sink fully into your bed, your blanket, your pillow. They are your hill, your resting circle, your blue linen cottage. Let your thoughts dissolve like mist on feather tip. Let sleep rise to meet you, as soft as Avon's final lullaby, played not for an audience, but for the night itself. No need to carry anything forward now. Not the details, not the plot, not even the name of the minstrel. Just warmth and quiet, and the feeling of having arrived somewhere soft and safe. Closing imagery. The eternal map. As Avayan lays down his heart beside him, he watches the stars emerge, one by one, like gentle promises across the sky. The wind no longer carries messages, only dreams. And high above, the feathers tied to the old stone wall quiver slightly, not with urgency, but with memory. The map has grown, not in size, but in spirit. It includes the glade, the fire maker, the well of silence. And now, you, for all who've listened and all who've wandered, leave traces of quiet behind. And the map remembers, even after sleep has taken them. Final reinduction. The deepest calm yet. Let your thoughts grow slow, like frost forming on the edge of a still pond. Let your limbs soften, as if you've become part of the bed beneath you, rooted in warmth and silence. There's nothing left to carry. No question left unanswered. Only the hush of endings. The comfort of return, and the final hush of a story. What story resumes? Morning on Hearth Hill. Dawn returns, as it always does on Hearth Hill. Not all at once, but in soft layers. Pale light warms the grass. A thread of gold draws across the sky. Avayan stirs, still lying in the circle of resting souls. Someone has covered him with a wool cloak during the night. He doesn't know who, but he smiles as he pulls it closer. The world around him breathes slow, steady. Contemptor, no more feathers in his satchel. No more paths to walk today. Just air and soil and the feeling of having done something that mattered, even if no one else will know. Final message from the land. A moment of quiet magic. Before the others wake, Avayan rises and walks a few steps away. A tree grows at the edge of the hill, old, with bark like folded maps and limbs that creak like old books. At its base, he finds something unexpected. A feather, not one he placed, not one he carried, but left for him. It's midnight blue, with a shaft of shining silver wrapped around it. A thread from his own harp, and a sprig of dried lavender. He kneels not in confusion, not even surprise, just reverence. The land speaks, sometimes in birds, sometimes in dreams, and sometimes, like now, in returning medieval detail. The gift of return. In a few scattered records from ancient courier traditions, it's said that if a message changes the one who carries it, the land will answer with a message of its own. Not written, not spoken, but gifted. A feather, a stone, a dream, a song. And those who received such things were considered not only messengers, but keepers, not just of maps, but of meaning. Avayan now has become such a keeper, and you, as a listener, have walked beside him the whole way. So whatever quiet gift you find in your dreams tonight, know that it's been left by the story for you. The final rest. The music sleeps too. He returns to the circle. Most have gone now, faded into their own dawns. Only a few remain, packing slowly, stretching limbs with quiet laughter. Avayan picks up his harp. Its strings loose now, its wood warm from sleep. He doesn't play it, not today. Instead, he ties the gifted feather to the tuning peg, lets it sway in the morning breeze. A reminder, not of the message, but of the journey, and of the peace that waits at its center. Return to the listener. You are part of the map. And now, here in this last soft breath of story, you can rest more deeply than before. Because like Avayan, you have walked a long way round. You've carried dreams, and songs, and soft truths. And now, you've reached the hilltop too, where nothing more is asked of you. Where the message has already arrived. Where feathers turn to light, and footsteps vanish in dew. And the only sound remaining is your breathing, and the quiet of rest. Sleep, induction close, gently ending the journey. So let your eyes remain closed. Let your body grow still. Let your dreams begin. Not with urgency, but with quiet. In your dream, you might find a feather too, tied with thread, left by moonlight. It means something, something true, but you don't need to read it. Only feel it as it floats in the dark across a map made of memory and heart and silence. Good night, gentle listener. Sleep well, and may the path always rise to meet your dreams.